think can see us now. So welcome to October's edition of our town hall meeting. We'll get kicked off. We don't have a heavy agenda today, but we do have some interesting stuff to present. So with that being said, without further ado, Pastor Elliott will lead us in opening prayer and then give you the pastoral care update.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to have you all here. I'm hoping, since it is the month of October, you guys aren't going to overdo it with Oktoberfest, right? Because I'm not coming to bail you out. Just so we're clear. Okay. Getting you guys to laugh. Too much pizza? What's going on? All right. Well, let's open with prayer. Dearest Lord, Heavenly Father, wow, look at the beautiful day that you have given us to share and enjoy. Just a few days ago, it was a hurricane. Lord, we give you thanks and praise that you have spared us once again, that you have lessened the storm and saved this place that you have created and still sustain to this day, this place we call the Haven. We know that many were not as fortunate, O Lord, and we ask that you would raise up your church and every other resource to help those in need, that you would continue to guard them and keep them, bring to them aid and also the gospel, so they might hear of your saving love and your grace. Guide us now in our work here in this meeting so that we might hear what's going on and to ask pertinent questions so we can get clarity in all that we need to know, and keep us, of course, always in your grace. This we all ask in Jesus' name. Amen. First slide today isn't anything out of the ordinary. It is, just the usual listing of worship services. Nothing has really changed. Just a reiteration to say once again that we do have communion every week, but it is only at the Haven service, the one in the harbor. So if you have an off week over the church and you'd like to try us out over here at the harbor, we'd like to welcome you to come on over and worship with the folks in the ALF. Actually, if you take a look at the demographic within the ALF service, it's probably half independent living and half ALF. So we serve about 50 every week, and it's a wonderful thing. So we welcome you to come on over and check it all out. Regarding the Bible studies, the new Bible study on Esther has gotten started. Deaconess McLean got that rolling, but she's doing some other things over the next several weeks because we like to keep her busy. We're just trying to keep her out of trouble. At any rate, you have Vicar Eddie tomorrow night, and next week you have me, and because it's flea market week, we are going to be over at the harbor for Bible study. So if you're still awake after working all day, and you'd like to, after the community meal, come on over and have some Bible study, we'd like to invite you over to the harbor that night, the 23rd, to have Bible study there. A Bible study at the Landings is going to go forward. Reverend Joe Fairchild has stepped forward to bring that and make that happen. You should be seeing some announcements here shortly, I would think, if you haven't already seen something. I gave that to him wide open according to his schedule, so if you have a problem with the scheduling or the meeting times, talk to him. I got nothing to do with it. All right. But we heard the call for Bible study at the Landings, and Joe has graciously agreed to do so. Going on to the events, we still have Koinonia going on. Just a reminder that on the 27th, we are going to be observing not only Reformation, but also the retirement of Pastor Brian Roberts. We'll have a special recognition for him. There will be a combined service. Both fuel and the traditional service will be in the sanctuary for that day, with the party to follow. We welcome all of you to come to the party, by all means. The other news, that DCE call has been extended, of course. Mr. Becker has been here with his family to visit. Haven't heard anything new or different, but I guess there was a hurricane that blew through, so maybe that has delayed things a bit. That pastoral call process is still ongoing. We've had one pastor visit already. I think we have another one coming next week. And as that moves forward, we'll keep you informed. A couple outages starting tomorrow through Friday. Both Deaconess McLean and myself, along with Pastor Tig and Pastor Sam, we're going to be in Maryland at a joint circuit meeting for the SELC district, something the district has put together to try and get the pastors in the district to get to know one another just a little better. So we're heading on up there with a whole bunch of other pastors from here in Florida, and we're going to spend a few days just getting to know each other, do a lot of worship, because that's what the SELC district really means. SELC must stand for worship, because every time I go to a district function, we worship in the morning, we worship in the afternoon, we worship in the evening. It's really great. Also, I have slated my vacation from November 29th to December 7th. It's time to go up and get some more deer meat because I have one package left. So I have to go get some more. Other than that, I don't have anything else for the pastoral update at the moment. Are there any questions? Well, seeing none, I'm going to invite Lori Baker to come on up and give you the update on activities.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to first start off saying I am very, very excited to announce that I have a new assistant. This is Linda Belkey. She's going to be here part-time for now. You probably have seen her around in my office, but I'm really, really happy to have her here. She's taken quite a load off of my desk, and I appreciate everything she's done so far. So welcome, Linda. Whenever you say hi, she'll be in my office. Thank you, Linda. Okay, so we have bingo tomorrow, the state of New York, and then our birthday luncheon this month will be Longhorn Steakhouse. We do have 32 people going. Now, when I tried to call and make reservations, they don't take reservations. I have to call them a half hour before. So people that still want to go, you can go. They take you on a first come, first served basis. So just so that you know, we do not have a standing reservation. They will take you as long as we're there by 11:30, which you will be. Okay, so our no carving pumpkin decorating contest is ongoing. I had a dozen pumpkins that were given out. They're being decorated. There's one back there right now. If you have any questions, again, it's no carving. You can use paint, you can use glitter, markers, you can dress it up. Just don't puncture that pumpkin because it will start smelling. Once you're finished, bring it to Fellowship Hall so we can put it on display. We will have a contest on the 31st, which is Halloween, about 3:30. And if you feel like it, you can get dressed and come. We do have prizes for the pumpkins. We will have the funniest, the most artistic, and the best overall. Next, for November 5th, we have our general election coming up, so there will be no activities in Fellowship Hall on that day. So get out and vote, please. And then we're going to go to the Tanger's Outlet on Friday, November 8th. I'll have a sign-up sheet for that and more information to come. And then our Veterans Day program, we're going to have two different programs that day. We're going to have one at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for our normal veterans program. And then at 7 p.m. that night, Inspired Theater is coming back to do a program for our veterans. So, and I'll have more information once I get that from Inspired Theater. And then also, I don't have a slide on this one, our Washington trip is filling up. We have 40 people going right now, so if you're still interested, let me know. We'll get you on the list. Payments have started, so you'll have to catch up if you want to go. Just let me know. Any questions for me? Yes. Where's Tanger's Outlet? It's in Daytona. It's about an hour away. Yeah, right off of 95. Next to Buc-ee's. Hint, hint. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. I'll bring up Stephanie.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So we have one very important new resident that we'd like to introduce this month, Miss Edna Zola. I don't think she's here. She's a new resident at the Landings, apartment 119. So if you see her, say hello. She's all the way from Winter Springs, Florida. And Raleigh's looking at me like there's something else. Oh, yeah. I think I mentioned that one time, but this was actually a referral. Jeff has a sign. Repeat the question. How did we get this resident? So this was someone, her cousin attends the Rotary meeting here at the Haven. So we got this resident from hosting the Rotary here at the Haven, word of mouth. So we appreciate that. And that's it. Any other questions for me while I'm up here? All right. Next up is Gordon Neruda. Oh, our little committee.
Hi, my name is Gordon Neruda. I'm one of the residents here and part of the executive committee. And one of the things we've been working on, and I wanted to give you a report on, is our newest subcommittee on the executive committee, our Employee Appreciation Resident Committee. And this was just formed. We did a lot of research trying to see what we could do for our employees. As you know, we're a no-tip. A lot of people would like to tip our residents. We have to find ways to show them appreciation. You also know what the job market is. It's nice to have them here and see the same faces and not have them turn over. So one of the things we were doing was trying to find ways to show the appreciation. And part of this meeting today is to let you know some information. Like, I discovered a lot doing my research. For example, our employee group has a committee called a Spirit Committee, and they have events several times a year. The biggest one is their Christmas dinner. And you might see that on the scroll. We'll talk about this in a little bit, about when we do gift cards and try to donate gift cards to them for their drawings and things. But the Spirit Committee meets, and gosh, they have a Christmas party that they cook the food at the Landings, and it's their Christmas party, their employee Christmas party. We've all been to Christmas parties at our own jobs in the past, and those same people that cook it have to serve their own food to themselves. And it struck Gloria and I kind of crazy that, well, why is that? Why don't we have some folks here from the Haven helping out? So we started looking into this, and we actually had our first event a couple days after the last hurricane. And the Spirit Committee had a barbecue. It was the first pool party here at the Haven. And they had hot dogs and hamburgers for their employees. And we got a group of us together. There's 4 or 5 of us on our committee. And we recruited some of our neighbors to help come. And we had 13 people come and help with this event to let the employees know they were appreciated. So it was very, very successful. So Raleigh, you want to put up that? There we go. We got some pictures here. That was our group, okay, that was there. And on that day, we gave out 12 door prizes. Now, those of you that are Thrivent members, you may have heard about the Thrivent action plans. They give a grant, $250. So we acquired that, and so we got door prizes from Hobby Lobby and gave out some things that said they were thankful, Thanksgiving theme. We bought, you can see the gelati sitting on the table. We bought a treat from Jeremiah's ice cream for the employees. And then we also got 12 mums and gave those out to the workstations for the people that weren't there that day. And on those mums, as we took it around to their lounge, okay, where the employees have a lounge. And we had a tag on each of those plants that said, to our Haven family of caregivers, we are thankful for you. We appreciate all you do. And it was signed the Haven residents. So they saw that, and then that group that was in that area figured out who got to take the mum home, after a week. And we also, one of the benefits, we had T-shirts because it was a Thrivent plan. So we had T-shirts, and we gave out T-shirts too. So it was a very, very successful program that was there. And we had a lot of fun on top of it. So coming up, we will have, these are some of the things that are coming up in the future. The employee party is coming up for Christmas. So we're going to make sure we're serving so those same people that are cooking can at least sit down and enjoy their meal and not have to serve it to their fellow employees. You'll be getting a letter about this. The scroll has been really good. In fact, you previously got a letter from me in your farm boxes about gift cards and that type of thing. So one of those things, if you guys think about it, if you feel giving a few more gift cards, everything goes to them. They distribute them as equally as they can, depending on what dollar figure you give and that type of thing. But it really does a nice job. So we hope to enhance that. And the administration has not publicized that enough because or in the past, not enough, but they don't over-publicize that because they're collecting monthly fees, et cetera, and we're all a little sensitive right now. But as a fellow resident, we can ask fellow residents and say, hey, if you want to give, here's a chance. It's not tipping, but it's a way of letting your employees, that your caregivers know that you're appreciated. Other things that I found out, we also have a Christmas angel tree for the staff, for their angels, okay, that's there. That might be something that would be nice to get. Did you know we had an employee food pantry? A lot of people didn't know that, but sometimes our employees fall in some hard times and they've got a food pantry to help them out with that. So you'll be hearing more about that. We're going to get another letter giving you all this information again, but we wanted to show you what had happened on our first event. We were excited. It was a lot of fun. Hope you'll join us in the future. And next we have, are any questions? Okay. Well, it's whatever you want to give. I know one person gives $500 of gift cards. Okay. But what really helps is instead of giving one gift card for $100, that only goes to one, do 4 25s. And the other thing we're trying to do is set up, some people can't go out and get gift cards. They don't know how that works. We're probably going to try to accept some checks from you, and then the committee will go out and buy the gift cards just to make it easier for people, in the future. So, if you're doing it a smaller denomination, is easier. 4 people get a $25 gift card instead of one person a $100 gift card. That makes sense. So whatever you want to give. Not everybody can do that, and I will really want to continue the spirit of how everybody feels about it. We have some people that have money here in the Haven, and we have some people that are really struggling, trying to keep up. So if you can't give a gift card, it's okay. We understand that. Okay, no one should feel bad about not doing that. So you'll be getting a letter, like I said, in your mailboxes, your farm boxes, about this coming up. So, any other questions? Okay, I think next is Gail. Aha.
Well, where were you guys last Wednesday for the potluck? We're going to have this emergency meeting during this meeting for the auxiliary. And the reason I'm standing here, I'm giving Marilyn about 30 seconds first.
Raise your right hand, everybody. I hereby deputize you for the publicity committee. You already got one flyer in your farm box. I have more of the big flyers. And today, ta-da, for the first time ever, we have a new thing, a baby flyer. So how cool is this? I have 60 of these, and these are really nice for when you're going to, even to Publix. Just pull one out as you're cashing out and say, oh, by the way, I live at Lutheran Haven. We're having this wonderful flea market a week from Saturday. Lots of good stuff for you young people in your new apartments. come on by and see it. You'll find great bargains. So I'd like to pass these out to people. If you will raise your hand and either put up 1 finger, 2 fingers, or 3 fingers, I'll give you that many, and I'll come down the edges and pass them down. Thank you for all your help. One more quick thing.
Can you do that at the end?
I can do, I can stand at the door at the end. How's that? Okay, good. Then I have 15 extra seconds now.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
That was
I have one more quick request. If you do Facebook, will you go find the page that's Lutheran Haven? And would you find they have the full flyer on there? Would you please share that? Okay? The more people we have with that poster out there, the better it is. I'm already sharing information. I've done it once now recently, and I will do it almost every day on Marketplace and all those kinds of things aimed at those people who love that. But if you have it on your Facebook page, spread the word. Thanks so much.
So I need to officially call the auxiliary meeting to order, and I need to let you know that every single resident in Lutheran Haven is a member of the auxiliary. So if you're in this room, chances are probably 100% you're a member if you're a resident. So we will be voting on 2 things that we needed to vote on in October. And those 2 things are the auxiliary, election of auxiliary officers, and also we are going to look at the bylaws again. These were looked at, discussed, and everything, and what we normally do, we took people coming forward who would be willing to run for office. And so let's go first to the election of office. We have only 2 people on the ballot for 2 positions. President Gail Whitlatch has said she would run again. And for Secretary, Kathy Brenton is on the ballot. And so all I need to do from you, because we've discussed it and no one else has come forward, is I need to get a acclamation, a raise of hands of everyone here who is willing to accept those officers for 2 years. Please raise your hand if you approve. And thank you. And those who have a problem, raise your hand or see me afterwards. Thank you. The next thing, and I want to tell you who our officers are, just so it's on record. Gail Whitlatch, President. Jerry Lemke, Vice President. Kathy Brunton, Secretary. Jeannie Wacker, Treasurer. And it alternates. It's a 2-year term, but every other year, next year we'll be voting on Vice President and Treasurer. The next one is we've changed the bylaws. As Lutheran Haven, or we need to change the bylaws, we felt. And so we brought it to the meeting in June, I believe it was. And the purpose of, so what we did is we changed it because there have been a lot of changes at the Haven. Without the nursing home, with the remodeling of the harbor, and us being invited in and enjoying so many of the activities in there, just with all the changes, even in the landing and in the fellowship hall. We have discussed this for quite a while, and we took it to the auxiliary meeting in June and discussed it again, but we need to vote on it today. So let's go. First thing, let me read you the purpose. I was checking to see if it was up there, but my name's there. The auxiliary will assist and advance the work of the Lutheran Haven through volunteer work and fundraising in support of the skilled nursing facility, assisted living facilities, and benevolent care. Now, we're going to change that to the auxiliary shall assist and advance the work of the Lutheran Haven through volunteer work and fundraising in support of the assisted living facilities, harbor and lodge, resident care, that's being added, and retirement community. So that includes all of us now. Kathy, did I cover all that well? Okay. Fundraising. The expenditure of funds must be in keeping with the auxiliary purpose. That is, in support of, now this is what it was, skilled nursing facility, assisted living facilities, and benevolent care as guided by the annual auxiliary budget. That would be changed to expenditure of funds must be in keeping with the auxiliary purpose, and that is in support of the assisted living facilities, the harbor and lodge, benevolent care, and the retirement community as guided by the annual auxiliary budget wish list. And that wish list is generated for us, and we look over it carefully, and we will be visiting that wish list this time, normally in October, but we'll be visiting in our January meeting for 2025. So now what I need is somebody to move, a second, and then we'll vote on if these changes in the bylaws will be made. Do I have a motion? I heard something here. Did you get that? Second? I heard lots of them. All those in favor, say yes.
What do you mean by retirement community? What does that mean? All of us.
That's
Retirement community.
all of us.
How will that work in practice? Right now, it's been to buy things for the two, the buildings. What does that mean?
Well, I know one thing is we're talking about, I don't want to, there's been discussion on different things, but like it could be for something better in here or over there. You know, it will benefit us because it's a very broad thing. So it will benefit. I heard discussion of maybe awnings someplace because when it's raining sometimes. I don't know where they are, but you know, but things like that. And that would benefit us when we can drive up and drop people up. Remember when we used to drive up here? Think. As it's reviewed and voted on, yes. I'm sorry, let Marilyn say that. What did he say?
I'm asking about the term retirement, and she's saying it's for everybody, but I'm asking if it's also, will we now be able to designate some of the funds for the benevolence fund? In the past, it's my understanding, it's just been to buy things for the two facilities.
Well, benevolent care, that is harbor, help me out here, harbor and lodge benevolent care. And lodge and benevolent care. We're including basically everything. So it will give freedom to take just from everything going into the harbor or to the lodge so that it benefits us also. And part of this, I believe, is so that we are visiting more, we are doing more, and we will benefit from it also because especially, I think, the harbor will be going in there. It will all come down through wish list or through request to the auxiliary, be discussed, taken to meetings, and voted on by everyone as the need is seen. And we would like you also, if you see needs, to keep us going. Okay, we have any more discussion? Those in favor of changing the bylaws by hand and voice, aye. And those opposed? Okay, thank you very much. And we're going to close the auxiliary part of this meeting. Operations. Oh, hi, Dave. Haven't seen you for a while.
Thanks, Gil. Good afternoon, everybody. So I really only have a couple of subject matters just to remind everyone, a couple of changes in the operations department and operations and transportation.
So Raleigh and Jerry asked me to look at how we operate with things and how we can improve efficiencies within the department. And one of the things that I asked them if we could do this, and I presented to them, was to move some staff around. So basically what we did, or what I did, I asked a couple of the staff if they could go over to the operations side from the transportation side. So we had 2 of our team members move from transportation department over to the operations department to help with the heavy workload that we have. We have for those of you that don't know, we get requests for work orders for everything from changing a light bulb to, I got a leak in my roof or some crazy septic issue. And with the volume of numbers of work orders that we have, it's hard for us at times to keep up. So our effort here is by having 2 of the gentlemen that typically have been in transportation move over to the operations side. It'll help us divvy up the work orders a lot more easy and help us be a little bit more efficient with that. And in doing so, though, that left just 2 drivers for the transportation. So we were able to hire a 3rd driver. So now we have a new employee in our department. His name is Dennis Hines. He's the 3rd driver. The other drivers are, most of you, if you use the transportation department, know Steve Thomason. Steve he's going to be taking the lead in that department. He's the one that you're going to call if you call the transportation line. Just for the sake of saying it, I'm going to give you the number, even though it's in your book and it's on the scroll. But if you need to call transportation for something, call 407-706-1296. That's the only number we're asking that you call for that, and we can direct all transportation requests through there. So it's Steve Thomason, Ish Caballero, and Dennis Hines. Those are the transportation drivers. And something to remember is that beginning on November 1st, we made some adjustments with the grocery run. Please look at the scroll. I don't want to make a mistake here and say the wrong thing, but we made some adjustments with the grocery trip, the ride on Thursdays. So just take a look at that, see how that applies to you if you use it. And that way, I think the first Thursday in the month is the 7th. So if you're going to be utilizing the transportation for that, take a look on the scroll. And then, of course, Dave Fernandez and Ryan Bromer will be over in the ops side, helping to keep the work orders flowing. And Dave especially will be helping with a lot of the safety and what I call the compliance things. For those of you in the landings, you found out today that we had done a fire. Dave's going to help with a lot of that stuff. Dave is excellent with paying attention to those kind of details, and we need that over there. So that's a very good thing, I think. I'm very excited about it. In general, we've been doing, I've been doing more Hawkeye watching of landscaping. We've had some challenges the last couple of weeks, bar the hurricane, of course. They've been doing better. They're paying more attention. I'm going out into the community when they are here on site on Mondays and Tuesdays, and I've been following up behind them. I ask that if you do see something that's missing, or they, didn't take care of your blowing off your driveways or whatever, let me know. I can communicate that to their manager. Okay, I guess that's all I have. Any questions for any of that stuff? Yes.
You mentioned about the landings and the fire alarm. Today, the fire alarm went off for like 45 minutes, and again, we had to leave the building because the punctured our eardrums,
Yeah.
Do something about that next time, make a little more.
Yep, and I apologize for that. So they were actually scheduled to come out at the end of the month, and that was going to give us plenty of time for notifying everybody. The alarms on the annual, the alarms have to go off because they got to test them. And they have to go from site to site to make sure that they're all working. So unfortunately, they had put in their system, because I talked to them about it, they had put in their system yesterday, today, and tomorrow, as opposed to the emails that I got saying the 28th, 29th, and 30th. And their crew did what they thought they were supposed to do. So that's why it was today, and that's why you didn't get any notification other than just yesterday. So I apologize for that. But going forward, yes, I will make sure that they notify enough, and we can work on the length of time with which the alarms are going off. Yes. Yep. Yes.
What's the turnover time between when someone puts a work order in and work gets done?
That's a great question. So, I'm going to. So the question was, what's the turnover time for when work orders are put in? If you put in a work order for a light bulb, that could be the same day. But if you put in a work order for, I don't want to minimize anything, but I'm having a problem with the plumbing. It works, but it's just slowly, and we're not sure what's going on. A lot of times we have to call out vendors, and we're kind of hostage to their schedule. So, there's no direct answer to how long it takes. My expectation is that the ops guys get to your home as quickly as possible within reason. If we have, and these numbers are coming from nowhere, but off the top of my head, if we have like 10 work orders, 20 work orders in the day, and there's 3 or 4 guys working that day, it's going to take time to get through them all. Some of them are, we get to your home and parts are needed to be ordered. That takes time. I wish I could say that, hey, we'll be there today and it'll get fixed and you'll get back to normal. But unfortunately, that's not the routine or how it's been. Yes.
The only reason I asked was I put a work order in last week for my microwave dual fuse,
Oh,
and I don't want any arcing going on in the fuse box.
and I don't want it either. So in your case in particular, I'll go back and look at the work order system and see why. One of the things that I've been working on with the staff is there's a section in there for the work order for comments, like if they run into what we call, they have to park it or they have to pause the work order for whatever reason. That way, if some of you call concierge and you ask, hey, I put a work order in for this, what's going on? Concierge or whoever should be able to look in there and identify based on what the operations guys have said and observed, and they can give you that information. That's one of our challenges that, admittedly, we're struggling with communicating back to you all as well as we need to, and we're going to continue to work on that. So we'll look into that about that microwave, yes. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, so Michael Ray, I guess, is next.
Good afternoon, folks. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it, if I was coming out here and giving out checks or something like that? But unfortunately, that's not what I'm here to do today. Most of the time, Jerry incorporates most of the financial information, so I'm not up here very often, usually maybe just before we formulate the budget or something like that. So you guys don't see me very often. But the reason I wanted to come up and talk to you today was you probably noticed that your statements changed most recently. And unlike David, this is not something that we're going to do on a regular basis. So to apologize that you didn't get more warning is still valid, but it's not like that'll happen next month again or next year or even the year after. In regards to those statements, I've heard some rumblings that they're not as easy to interpret as the previous ones, but we also got that when we switched to the previous ones, so it's kind of a no-win there. And what we're hoping is that after this month and then potentially next month, they'll become much more routine. Because the first month is always challenging to go from one billing system to another. And what I'd like to to share with you is this is not something that we voluntarily undertook. We didn't say, you know what, let's change billing systems this year, because we have so much on our plate. That's really the last thing that we wanted to do. But it was one of those situations we found out in January. It was me in particular. I called. I needed some help with the old billing system. And the guy on the other end said, oh, you'd heard we've been sold, hadn't you? And no, I didn't know that. And so that was something that was added to our plate that we just were not prepared for. You know, we're running just about as thin as we can get in the accounting and finance department, and then we had this added to our plate. So we did our best in that conversion process, and so it was a little bit challenging we really wanted to get those statements out 9/1. That didn't happen, so it happened on 10/1. And again, I'll reiterate that what we hope is going forward, as you get a new statement each month, you become more familiar and more comfortable with them. If you need any help in the meantime, Heather in the administration building, she's the one that handles all your billing. Some of you probably know her already. She's here Monday through Friday from about 7 in the morning till about 5 or 6 at night, Monday through Thursday. She typically works about 10-hour days, Monday through Thursday. But trust me, Heather puts in a lot of time, and she's put in a tremendous amount of time in this conversion process, just as some of the clinical team has, Julie Clock and her team, in this conversion process. So just please be patient with us. If you have any questions, please come see us. We'll help you through that. And again, hopefully as the months roll on, you'll become more familiar with that. This billing software system is for long-term care and for retirement communities. Is probably the largest in the nation. And the reason they're the largest in the nation is they keep buying everybody. And so it's likely that we'll be for them to my retirement and beyond. So I don't see us going anywhere and staying with them. I think the last thing I'd like to say is, as much as we would like to customize the statements, these very, very large companies just don't do that. They're like, we're not going to customize it one-off for every customer. And so they are what they are. And that's the best that we can do. And it's not that we're unsympathetic to your ability to interpret them. It's just that these very, very large companies don't do that. Anything else that I can share with you about that or any other topic within accounting finance? Left you stumped. All right, Raleigh?
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. All right, winding down here. So about every year, I try to do things, rotate them throughout the year, hot topics and whatnot, So like, every May, that you're going to get your hurricane stuff. And last month I talked about the roundabout again. And this month we're going to be talking about emotional support animals versus service animals. I do that because, routinely throughout the year we get new residents that come in and sometimes they will come in with one of these two types of animals and not always know the rules and whatnot. So I try to go and just at least to explain some differences here, because there is a difference between emotional support pets and service animals. All right. So as you know, per our policy, there are no dogs allowed as pets at the Haven. That has always been the rule. And honestly, prior to the landings opening up back in 2019, we didn't even have emotional support animals or service animals for that matter. I know, imagine 75 years and never had a service animal on campus until about 2019. So that's how they came about. And then we had to go and say, okay, well, now that we have these animals, we had to come up with policies, and then we had to explain to people what the differences are between a service animal and emotional support animal. So in order to have either one of these, whether it be an emotional support dog or a service dog, first of all, you have to obtain a letter from a doctor stating that you need one. Okay? That's our policy. That's also, that's how you come across these animals. And then we have to get that letter, and that's part of our marketing packages and whatnot. Now, for those of you who've lived here over time and then acquired one, you've been good about that. You've approached me. You've asked me for those letters, and there's something that you sign there. There's an etiquette policy that goes along with the animal and an expectation of the usage and what you're allowed to do with your pet. All right. Even if you have a letter from a licensed medical physician, you still have to adhere to the Haven policies. They're in place for a reason. And I'll be honest with you, this was a very divisive issue when it first came out back in 2019. Because there is a lot of people who like dogs, and there's people who are absolutely scared of them. It's just the nature. We're human beings, all right? So got with the legal team. Legal team researched everything. They put the policy together for us and said, okay, here's what you can and you can't do. And then we had to tailor it to our community. All right, so I also bring up this first line here. Even if you have a letter from a medical physician, aside from adhering to the rules, all right, just because you have a letter from a medical physician doesn't necessarily mean that letter states that dog is now a support animal. Because there is a difference between a support animal and an emotional support dog, or other animal for that matter. Thankfully, they're just dogs right now. Parents have a neighbor whose emotional support pet is a boa constrictor. So what's the difference between the two? An emotional support dog performs general emotional support and comfort for a person, while a service dog provides specific tasks. We actually had a person who lived on the campus who had a very small dog that was a service animal, not an emotional support pet. And everybody's like, there's no way that dog can possibly be a service animal. Had the paperwork. It was tasked with a specific task and was trained to do so. This particular person, for instance, needed that dog to alert him if there was a medical issue going on. So sometimes we think of service animals as what? Seeing eye dogs, right? Everybody sees a big shepherd or something as a seeing eye dog. So we all associate support animals or service animals in that nature, but they're not always, they can be small, they can be large, they can be whatever that dog is trained for. Whereas in the case of an emotional support dog, well, we do have weight restrictions on them here for emotional support dogs, and height restrictions and things of that nature, all right? Now, with that being said, an emotional support dog doesn't require training, but a service animal does. A service animal will have paperwork that comes by it that means that the service animal has been trained by ADA guidelines. All right, so according to the ADA website regarding emotional support animals and service animals, emotional support animals do not have the same access rights as service animals do. Not all service animals have access rights, but sometimes you will see somebody with a dog out, in the community that is specified for a certain task, for a certain purpose, and that dog sometimes has to go everywhere that person goes. But not an emotional support pet. Not an emotional support pet. So we have to give service animals must be allowed into public spaces. Emotional support pets, not so much. All right? So it's very important to remember that service dogs come in many shapes and sizes. Just because somebody has a small dog doesn't mean that it's not a service animal. We've gone through that. We have had emotional support dogs or service dogs on our campus, or we haven't had prior landings, went through that. And those landings residents were the first ones that had those animals. And now we've got quite a few people in the community that have them, including new residents coming in. So our policy states that a person with an emotional support dog must walk said dog in a designated area. Prior to our dog park, the only place you could take it was there's a green space behind the landings next to the wall by the cottages on Woodpecker and Penguin. That's still a designated space, even though it's not fenced off or anything. I have seen people use that, but we have the nice dog park down there. That's where you take these animals to exercise the animals. They're not to be walked out on campus to the mailbox, to the dumpster, saying hello to the friends, off leash, okay? Now, we will allow, and we understand this, your animal's got to go to the bathroom. Guess what? You live back all the way in the back side of the section. You're not going to walk that dog all the way down and expect him to hold his business until you get to the dog park. This is not going to happen, right? So it's okay to take your animal out to your front yard, if you have a yard, do its business, pick up after it, on a leash, by the way. And when I mean on a leash, you're holding the leash. Because I had somebody who goes, well, they're on a leash, and they were roaming freely. That's not how it works, right? You're holding the leash, pick up after the dog, and take him back inside, okay? But if you're going to exercise a dog, you take him to the dog park or that green space by the wall that's between woodpecker and penguin. All right? Let's see. Sometimes you might see a service animal out and about. It may be a service animal. All right? You may not know that. But whether it's a service animal or an emotional support pet, the rules still apply. The animal has to be on a leash, has to be well behaved. And oh, by the way, if it's a service animal, it better be wearing a vest. That's stated in the ADA. They have to be wearing their vest to designate them as a service animal, okay? And when they're out and about, they can't be barking. They can't be unruly. You shouldn't allow your pet, your emotional support pet or your service animal to be going up to people, right? You want them to allow the person to pet or whatnot. That's your prerogative. But honestly, the onus is on you if your dog bites somebody. Okay? Not only that, but we as the Haven reserve the right, should the dog become unruly, to take further steps. There's only been one person since we implemented all this that actually had to have the dog leave. It was somebody in the landings back in 2019 because they couldn't keep the pet under control. The pet was messing everywhere, roaming the hallways, barking at all hours of the night. Well, neither the person or the pet are here anymore. All right? We don't ever want to get to that. I just want to go through some of the rules because, honestly, we're adults. We should be able to pay attention to these things, okay? I can't be everywhere at once, but here's what I'm going to tell you, just like I've told another resident recently. You see something, say something to me about it. Let me know where you observed it, who it was, and I'll take care of it. All right? But rules are in place for a reason. We need to have them for a reason, and this person brought up a very good point. You know, sometimes people are out there doing things like we run the stop signs all the time. Okay? We do other things on campus. We know it's wrong, but we do it anyways, all right? What good is it to have rules if we don't enforce them? But you're not the enforcer. I am. Or somebody I designate to be that person, okay? So just report it to me. I'll do the best I can to run it up the flagpole, per se, and take care of some of these things. Are there any questions on any of that? Well, good. So somewhere along the line, you get a doctor's note that you need one, just give me a shout. I'll be more than happy to bring you the form and go through the rules with you about it, okay? And just be mindful about it, too, that everybody who has one out here that I'm aware of has signed a piece of paper that they are going to agree to the rules and do the right thing. That's why we have them there. All right. Now, one last point about all this. Somebody brought up, well, visitors have dogs. Yes, they do. That has been a long-standing policy that visitors can come with dogs. However, the visitor's dogs have to follow the same rules that our emotional support pets or service animals have to follow. So if you have a visitor to come and stay with you, and we had quite a few, and I know it was on the fly because a lot of people came from South Florida to stay with loved ones up here because they had to evacuate and whatnot. They brought their dogs with them. But periodically throughout the year, somebody's got a family member that comes down and brings the dog with them. You know, if you're that person who's got somebody, just check in with me. I'll give you a copy of the rules. Just make sure you pay attention to it, all right? And we'll go from there. The only other thing to this is we do have stray animals that run around campus. Unfortunately, there's a number of dogs that are down at the end of Notwin, which is that dirt road off the electric lane, that get loose all the time and come into our neighborhood, all right? And so don't approach that dog. Just let me know or let operations know where you see it. We'll take care of it. If I have to get animal control out to do it, then so be it. By the way, there was a dog back there about 5 years ago. His name was Raleigh. I'm not kidding you. I'm by the ops yard, and I'm walking around, and I kept hearing, Raleigh, Raleigh, and I'm like, what? And they're like, no, the dog, the dog. He was a mangy-looking thing, too. All right, so moving on. Hurricane Milton, I want to say thank you to all of you and all of our staff who really helped us get through Hurricane Milton. That was that crept up out of nowhere pretty quickly. You residents did a great job of securing your items and helping us out so that we could do other things to prep for the storm. Our staff was here through the whole event, through the night. Not all of our staff, but certain designated staff. So we were out in the middle of the storm at 1, 2, 3, 4 a.m., checking on things, clearing drains and running water pumps, checking the pool levels. And we actually took a community, it was called Westminster Shore, from St. Pete. So we have reciprocal agreements with other communities down south, and we have reciprocal agreements with people up north. So if we ever had to evacuate, we've got somewhere to go. That's a state mandate. We were able to help out 23 residents because their resident building was right on the water in St. Pete. They were able to go back on Saturday, but they were very grateful for the support of this community and everybody in it, and really loved the amenities and just how we operate over here. So kudos to all of you. Thank you. It was a successful outcome, and couldn't be prouder to be a part of this community, especially in events like this. So thanks again. All right, the Aquatic Center. It's still out of order right now, unfortunately, and there's a good reason for it. During Milton, the main recirc pump failed. So I was out checking on that stupid thing all night long. I was draining down water and trying to manage the water on top of other things, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, I went to check on it, and the bottom of the green box, I see water just gushing out of it. And I thought, I'm going to open this lid and just have a tidal wave hit me. And I opened it up, and I got a video of it. I didn't put it up here, but the pump itself blew. It must have had too much water or something, or just everything from the hurricane, was working at overtime. And it was just gushing everywhere. So I had to shut down all the electronics and kill all the breakers and everything so we didn't lose anything. Called the pool company. They came out on Friday and said, yep, your pump's bad. They've... Really? What was your first clue? They took it. They're working on it right now. And in fact, I just got a text message a few minutes ago that they are in the process of rebuilding it, and they're hoping to have it tomorrow, if not Thursday, back into play. Now, with that being said, our pool service company came out. They were out yesterday. They cleaned all the debris out of the pool. And I said, oh, great. Can we use it? And he says, no. You can't use it until that recirc pump goes back in. That's a Department of Health condition. So I apologize, but blame Milton. that wasn't me this time. Yeah, exactly. So as soon as it's operational, we'll throw the word out there and you can start using it again. At least the key fobs worked all through the hurricane. That was a good thing. Oh, then funny enough, we never lost power during the hurricane, but except for about 30 seconds at like around 5 a.m. that morning. Yet this morning, I'm sitting in my office, it's nice outside, and we lost power. So we can go through a hurricane without losing, but on a clear day, I still think it was a squirrel that ran up in the transformer across the street, because that's usually where it happens. All right, so that's about all I've got for you all. Are there any questions just in general? All right, just a reminder, next week is flea market week. Okay, so... I know what most of you will be doing out here, but I know Vince looks forward to flea market because when it's post-flea market, he gets you all to work you out and get the kinks out of everything. Between him and Alex, they do a lot of business for flea market. Well, blessings to you all. Thanks again. I can tell you we were blessed with Hurricane Milton because I went down to my parents' house in Tampa last Friday, the day after, and the pictures you see on TV don't do it any justice. South Florida is going to take a long time to rebuild, unfortunately, so keep them in your prayers. Thanks, and God's blessings to you all.